Hi, I'm Tim. This is the first in a series of lessons that'll help you start playing blues guitar. If you're just starting out, you should first check out the basic guitar lessons available in GarageBand. They'll make it easier to understand some of the things that we'll cover in these blues guitar lessons. And if you ever need a quick review of anything we talk about, you can use the glossary at the top right of the screen. In this series, I'll be playing an electric guitar. You can also use an acoustic guitar, but to get a blues sound like the one you'll hear in these lessons, try an electric guitar connected to your Mac so you can use the guitar amps and effects built into GarageBand. Blues music began in the United States at the end of the 19th century by blending various African American musical styles of that era. It's been the basis for many other types of music like jazz, R&B, and rock. In this lesson, you'll learn a series of chords, or chord progression, called the 12-bar blues. This chord progression is the foundation for many blues songs. As always, before you get started, make sure your guitar is in tune using the built-in tuner in GarageBand. Before we learn the 12-bar blues, let's review the three chords that we'll use for this lesson. The first is an open A7. Leave the fifth string open for an A, or the root of the chord. Then put your second finger on the second fret of the fourth string. Leave the third string open, and your third finger on the second fret of the second string, and an open first string. That's an A7. The second chord is an open D7. Start with an open fourth string for the root, D. Then your second finger on the second fret of the third string. Your first finger on the first fret of the second string. And your third finger on the second fret of the first string. And that's a D7. The last chord that you need to play the 12-bar blues in A is an E7. The root, E, is the open sixth string. Then your second finger on the second fret of the fifth string. An open fourth string. Your first finger on the first fret of the third string. And an open second string and first string. For an E7. Once you're comfortable with these three chords, you're ready to play the 12-bar blues in the key of A. "12-bar blues" is the name that musicians use to describe a standard progression of chords. There are other types of chord progressions used for the blues, but the 12-bar blues is the most common one. The name 12-bar blues comes from the fact that the chord progression is 12 measures, or bars, long. This 12-bar progression can be repeated for as long as the musician wants the song to last. We'll learn the 12-bar blues in the key of A, but it can be moved or transposed to any key. To start, it helps to visualize the 12 bars as three groups of 4 measures, where each measure has 4 beats. In the key of A, play an A7 chord for the first 4 measures like this. Then for the next group of 4 measures, play a D7 for 2 measures, and then back to an A7 for 2 measures. And for the last 4 measures, play an E7 for 1 measure, then a D7 for 1 measure, and finish with an A7 for 2 measures. I'll play the progression all the way through so you can hear how it fits together. There are lots of ways that musicians will change the chords of the 12-bar blues to give it a different sound, but these three chords, played in this order, form the standard structure. Another way to think of the 12-bar blues progression is by using numbers instead of chord names. This makes it easy to play the blues in any key. To name a chord by number, first give each note of the scale for the key you're playing in a number, like this. A is 1, B is 2, C sharp is 3, D is 4, E is 5, F sharp is 6, G sharp is 7, and octave A is 1 again. Since the roots of these three chords in the 12-bar blues are A, D, and E, you can say that A7 is the 1 chord, D7 is the 4 chord, and E7 is the 5 chord in the key of A. Using these numbers for the chords, you can think of the 12-bar blues in A like this. The first 4 measures are the 1 chord, A7. The next 4-measure phrase starts with 2 measures of the 4 chord, D7, followed by 2 measures of the 1 chord, A7. The final 4-measure phrase starts with 1 measure of the 5 chord, E7, then 1 measure of the 4 chord, D7, and ends with 2 measures of the 1 chord, A7. So, the numbers for the 12-bar blues progression are 1, 4, 1, 5, 4, 1. Let's play the 12-bar blues in A again, and I'll call out the chord numbers as we go. 1, 4, 1, 5, 4, 1. In Lesson 4 of the Blues Guitar series, we'll talk about how you can use these numbers to play the blues in other keys. There's a lot of different strumming patterns that you can use to play blues rhythm guitar, but let's start with a few simple ones. Then you can use these to play along with the band in the play chapter of this lesson. The simplest strumming pattern we'll try is the one we've already been using. We'll just strum the chord at the beginning of each measure like this. Just use a light, slow downstroke. Here's the D7 and the E7. Since we're playing 1 strum per bar, we can call this strumming pattern 1 to the bar. It gives a nice mellow sound to a song. Another strumming pattern is called 4 to the bar. In this pattern, play a downstroke on every beat of the measure like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. If you want, you can use the side of your strumming hand to mute the strings a little in between each strum like this. To do this, lay the side of your palm lightly over the strings near the bridge. Then, each time you strum, use the rotation of your wrist to lift the side of your hand off the strings just a little. Try to keep the back of your palm firmly planted so your hand moves as little as possible. Here's what it sounds like on the D7 and on the E7. The last strumming pattern we'll try is a little more challenging. It sounds like this. This pattern uses a shuffle feel, which is different than a straight feel when you're playing eighth notes. These are eighth notes played with a straight feel. and these are played with a shuffle feel. The second eighth note is delayed a little. This is the essence of a shuffle feel. In this strumming pattern, we're going to play a downstroke of the first beat, and then an upstroke on the eighth note after the second beat, which is called the and of two. Here's the pattern again. 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. Down, 2, up, 3, 4. Down, 2, up, 3, 4. Once you get comfortable with this strumming pattern, you can mute the strings with the side of your hand after you play the upstroke for a crisp end to the chord, like this. You can play these strumming patterns with the 12-bar blues progression in the play chapter of this lesson. To practice them first, go to the practice chapter of the lesson for some exercises that'll help you get the hang of these techniques. And remember, if you're ever having trouble, you can use the speed slider to slow down the music in any part of these lessons. I hope you have fun. Let's play the 12-bar blues chord progression in A, with one chord per measure. I'll call out the chords the first time through, and the chord numbers the second time. 1, 2, 3, 4, A7. To D7. Back to A7. E7. D7. Back to A7. And the one chord. To the 4 chord. Back to 1. Five chord. 4 chord. Back to 1. We'll play the 12-bar blues in A again, this time using the 4 to the bar strumming pattern. 1, 2, 3, 4. Before we play the 12-bar blues with the shuffle strumming pattern, it's good to practice just the rhythm on muted strings like this. Start by laying your fretted fingers lightly over the strings like this. Then when you play, the strings won't ring out, so you can focus on the rhythm in the strumming hand. Play along with me. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now take that shuffle strumming pattern and use it with the 12-bar blues progression. Try to let the downstroke ring out, and then keep the and of 2 quick and tight by rotating the side of your palm onto the strings after each upstroke. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4.